Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Ask Dr. Mumbi. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki, sending you all the love from the center of the world, the heart of the world, at the foothills of Mount Zion, just giving thanks and praise to the Most High, Mwenye Nyaga, Mwenye Hinya, for everything that has been made possible in all our lives. The fact that the awakening is happening in earnest, the rescue mission is happening in earnest, and really it's more about us rescuing ourselves and then getting out of the way of the total collapse of Babylon. You know, I saw another video which was like, prepare for impact. Like, Babylon is like literally just about to collapse, and it's something we have to be very real about. But as I've been talking more and more about how Africa wins in the end, how Africa leads next, I've been getting a lot of emails from people who say, how do we lead next when we don't have an army, we don't have this, we're not organized, we have corrupt leaders? How will Africa unite? We have to get rid of our leaders, we have to come up with a united army, we have to get nuclear energy, whatever. Like, there's so many emails along those veins, and what that shows me is that we have the passion, but we lack the proper understanding of exactly what we're dealing is. Because if we understood what we need to, what the winning looks like, then we would totally not be wasting our time focusing so much on the building the external, and we'd be together, you know, in our covens, you know, or, you know, in our communities with like-minded people, chanting, knowing, you know, doing things in miraculous ways to influence the minds of the people. Because, beloveds, what happens is this: we live in a mental world. Our thoughts create our reality. And because so our existence is totally engineered, we are creating a reality that is engineered, that is not our natural way. And so much has been done in the last 50 years to bring us online and to influence our group think. Because you see, before, you were only concerned with you and your nation and your kingdom or queendom and your people. And so many wonderful things that we don't even know about could happen. But in this day and age, like, you'll be triggered by an earthquake in Alaska, 8.2, you know, whatever. And your energy will go to the floods that are happening in China, and you'll feel some type of way. Or you'll be like, ew, have you seen like the mice plague that's going on in Australia? And all these things are pulling our attention from ourselves and from our groupthink. Like, it's so dispersed. But the one thing is that we have a group mind as an African people, not only by region, by nation, by sex, etc., but we have a group mind as an African people. And that group mind is the only thing that is influencing our destiny. But the thing is, our group mind has been hijacked, beloveds. It has been taken over by a foreign enemy, foreign languages, foreign culture, foreign history. It's totally been, you know, scrambled. And we can still get to the truth if we were just to be left alone in silence, but we never have that opportunity, because at the same time that we're, you know, contending with a group mind that is scrambled and hijacked, we're also contending with survival. Many of our brethren are contending with survival, and then there's also engineered ignorance, which our leaders perpetuate so that they can stay in power. So it's like a vicious cycle. And only the truly strong are able to come out of it. But you see, something has happened where we've entered a time and a season where we're getting so much help from the spiritual realm, from the unseen realm. And the only thing that will change everything is our group realization. And that's why I always say, your awakening is your utmost priority. Transforming your thinking is your utmost priority. Living the way you know you should be living right now, outside of the cities, growing your own food, self-sustainable, self-sustaining, not relying on Babylon for nothing. Living that is your utmost priority, because that influences our group thought. And each and every one of us contribute to the group thought. And it's not like voting, this democracy voting where one vote, one person. As you elevate your vibration and elevate your vibe, you become a magnet, and your thoughts can influence your community, your family, even your nation, even a continent, even the entire people. You can reach them. And through their connected bloodlines, they will reach other. Don't they say there's 7 degrees of separation or something? And so language is the greatest barrier right now. But what we need, beloveds, is to take control of our group think. And so our utmost priority for all of you who see that you're here for a reason, you're one of the messiahs, you're an avatar, you're, a great one, a guru, a master, a god, a goddess. For all of you who always say that to me, you need to use that God energy, you're right, to create a new story for our global collective and to influence the group mind in a positive way by seeding it with new ideas and new thoughts. So the only physical action we would need to do is to get the word out in our communities, in our villages, like start to tell people the truth of who we are, of our history, of our inheritance, the fact that we win, build people up with their self-esteem, give people information. That's why I'm saying anyone who is awakened right now and you're moving to a village or something, start a little library. I hope you've downloaded all the documentaries about our truth, about how we created the pyramids, etc., etc., and all these amazing books about, just the spiritual sciences of the mind and how to use the mind to create an incredible reality for you and become like your community library. Spread the knowledge, but you have to know the knowledge for yourself. You have to know the truth for yourself before you can spread it. Because right now we're not in a physical war. There are no bombs, there are no guns, and yet we're in the depth of World War III, beloveds. Many have even started calling it for what it is. We're in the depths of the end of the world. Because this world has fallen mentally and spiritually. But because so much of our attention is there and our group is there, we're still stuck in it. Because if Africa wasn't so ingrained in Babylon would have fallen and many of us wouldn't have even known it. And it wouldn't have affected many of us. But Babylon has put themselves, 55 nations, beloveds, they've put their energetic signature everywhere. And it was never about the land. It was never about, the diamonds. It's never been about the gold. It's been about the minds of the people. The minds of the people. You get the people to admire your life, to admire your culture, and they're like, a nuclear generator that will keep you on that high life forever and keep them in the low life. Like they will sustain your narrative forever. And so we have to, beloveds, get a hold of our group consciousness. And it doesn't take everybody, but it takes somebody. And the more you elevate your vibe, the more you can impact and influence the group consciousness. I'll actually get into some tips of how we can do that, how you can do that wherever you are right now, as you're preparing for the total, the impact of the collapse of Babylon. Many of us are already in our off-grid homes, outside of the city. So as you're there, there's many, many things you can be doing. We're not just going to sit and wait for the end, but we have a very powerful role to play. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, Africa.
Welcome back, beloveds, to Ask Dr. Mumbi. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? How do we win in the end? You just got to know it for yourself. You got to, first of all, have the conviction that we win in the end. Absolutely and for sure. And I've seen your emails and I feel your genuine concern that you can't see how Africa wins. But beloveds, it's always been spiritual. The war has always been mental. And at this time, the real World War III is a mental war, beloveds. It's a war of narratives. It's a war of perception. Believing in the wrong story could shorten your life. Falling for the wrong narrative and having faith in that narrative could seem you experience hell on earth. And so for us to win, it's not about getting rid of every African president and changing this and dismantling that. All of that would be taken care of if we can control or get back in our control our group consciousness, which means actively creating a collective story that we're all on board on, actively awakening our brothers and sisters. And there's not so much we have to do because the Spirit is already doing so much. We're not in this alone, beloveds. Most of the things that we're seeing are being orchestrated. We're like actors in a really complex film, and we're getting our lines by the minute and by the second. They say spirit travels in the wind, beloveds. Spirit is really with us at this time, beloveds, in such a powerful way, orchestrating all of us. I may not know what my brother is doing, but somehow me and my brother will align and we'll find that we were all filling different pieces of the puzzle, that it was all happening. You're panicking about Africa having their own medicine, but and yet there's brilliant brothers and sisters right now who are just perfecting that in their, in their closets. We have the most brilliant minds. It's just that our creativity and our power has been limited because our group mind was hijacked. And so even the brilliant among us were magnetically pulled into this group mind. The only way to to escape the group mind of the community you live in, or your melanated people, or for me as a woman as well, is to really pull yourself out of that narrative. Go live in nature, go live in the wilderness somewhere. But this is not the season for that. This is not the season to run away. It is a season to be off grid and hide for a season and be self-sufficient. I mean, hide is even, you may have to hide if you're still in Babylon, but be self-sufficient. And there's many things that will be happening on that level. I can't wait till the show moves to that. When Babylon has fallen, there'll be so much for us to do. If there'll even be, I know there'll be some kind of internet system. I know, because the connection has been made now. But we win through our group conscious, and so much is happening to awaken so many of us. We're very lucky that the majority of our people, almost 70% of our people living right now, are literally under the age of 35. Over 60% are literally under the age of 18. So we have young, agile minds, beloveds. Whereas if we, the adults, who literally are just the elders, even though we're young, of this season, and we're old souls, if we can create that new narrative, dedicate the rest of our lives to creating that new narrative and giving that new narrative to our children to walk in, that is how Babylon wins. I mean, sorry, not Babylon. That is how we win. Babylon won by having our children actually walk in. I never thought about that. Having our children walk in their narrative, having our children walk into their story, into their world, and totally be in awe of their world because they didn't know anything about themselves. We win by creating the narrative for next. And that means actively doing that, physically doing that, living your best life, living in total authenticity, spreading the good news of our inheritance and our heritage. That's how we win. By anchoring a new narrative for future generations. And if we could all focus on that, and you see, that new narrative may not mean that we all meet somewhere in a conference and we all decide this is the way it will go. It means that enough of us have to make the changes, beloveds, where we walk away from Babylon and we cleave to the life of our ancient ones, our ancestors. That we at least want that self-independence from them. And so much will happen spiritually. There's people who are like, I don't know this, I don't know that, I don't see this, I don't see that. Remember, the first eye is the most critical. Stop trying to get validation from these two eyes, beloveds, because they've been hijacked. We win by taking back control of our group consciousness. And until we take back control of our group consciousness, then even the most powerful among us will continuously be pulled like a magnet into the ignorance of the majority. And there are things that you can do. You have to recognize that as you vibrate higher, then your influence in the consciousness of the people moves from being just you as one person, maybe influencing one person, but then you can influence 100 people, 10,000 people, 100,000 people, 1,000,000 people. Not even by saying anything, but just by the fact that your higher vibration, your higher vibrational self is here right now, living the life they're meant to be living. That alone will shift things. There are so many ascended masters, beloveds, who are living in the caves of this world, melanated masters. Some never died. Some are over 2,000 years old. I know some of you will think I'm crazy for saying that. And they are holding the fact that they are still on this earth, in this realm, in this dimension, means that we can never ever be overcome. It's a real thing. They are holding that vibration. So we also just have to hold the vibration. If there's nothing else you can do, if you're not called to go speak to the majority, to go speak to the peoples, then just live that life of constantly seeing us in our highest possibility, in our highest realm, communing with the ancestors, listening to them when they tell you to perform certain rituals, communing with the Most High, and getting instruction on how you can work with nature. Because the more you elevate, the more I elevate. Even just if 100,000 of us were to go to the master level, we would change everything. Not only our world, but the entire world. And I'm just saying, it doesn't take that many. Maybe 100,000 isn't the perfect point, because you see, the world doesn't change because of time. The world isn't going to change because it's 2021 or 2022. The world will change because people reach a certain overstanding, understanding, or inner standing. Tuko pamoja.